we could be getting ready for a very volatile week in the cryptocurrency markets. We have a big grayscale share unlock happening throughout the week. We're going to see thousands of Bitcoin worth of shares being unlocked into the market. That in of itself theoretically shouldn't spook the market, but the indicators are showing that we are getting ready for a bit of market volatility. So in this video, I'll be breaking all of that down for you. My name's Lark. Every day I make videos talking about cryptocurrency investing. So if that's a topic that you would like to learn some more about, then make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Gently tap on the thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm. And of course, click on the notification bell to know when I put out a new video. So let's just go ahead and get straight into the charts. Now let's start off today by looking at the weekly charts. This is the 50-week exponential moving average. You can see here that over the last 8 weeks, this has turned itself into a very, very important line for Bitcoin. Every single one of these weekly candles has closed above the 50-week exponential moving average. We can see obviously there is a lot of demand for Bitcoin when it starts coming down into these lower $30,000 regions. When we do get these more dramatic crashes, well, we do see again a lot of price support coming in, a lot of buyers stepping in to buy up the dips in the upper $20,000 region. I think it's a bullish thing that we have seen the price closing above for the last 8 weeks. Obviously, we're starting a new week now. We'll see how this one plays out. But I just want to point out that we can actually see the price come down a lot during the week and still manage to close a weekly candle above it. So we've seen obviously that happen quite a few times now. But I would really like to see the 50-week exponential moving average moving forward. Hopefully, it's going to end up acting as a nice launch pad to get the price moving back in the right direction for Bitcoin. So let's see how that plays out over the next week. Of course, we'll check back in at the start of next week to hopefully see that we did indeed, again, close above the 50-week exponential moving average as a line of support. Now let's go ahead and bring up the RSI and have a little look at what's going on over there with the relative strength index. Now, if you remember, I was talking last week about this really incredible downward trend that the RSI has basically been stuck in for basically months now. It's actually pretty incredible when you look at it across the way here. We've had basically the RSI just putting in these new lower highs just again and again and again and again. And right now we're at this critical level, challenging to try and get back above that. You can see right now we're just locked in a battle trying to get back above that. A couple of bullish daily candles could break us out of this big trend. It's big downtrend on the RSI that we've essentially been in for months. For the first half of the year, we've been in this downtrend for the RSI. So let's see how that plays out. That's an interesting one that I'm definitely keeping my eye on. Obviously, the bullish divergence that we have here is still in effect. So it has not been canceled out yet. So let's see how that goes. But the real story, of course, is about the mind-boggling, I guess, lack of volatility that we have been seeing here in the market. So let's bring on some Bollinger Bands and some Bollinger Bands width. So as you can see, we have historically low, well, not historically, but certainly noteworthy lows right now for the Bollinger Band width. So right here, you can see right back across, these are the former lows. We're actually going below those now, aiming to even lower lows, which are historically moments when you do get incredible volatility coming in. Let's say we get that Bollinger Band width coming down to test the next lower areas, which would be right around here. Then you can see what happened last time we were here. We actually did have a bit of a crash, right? What happened next time we were here? Well, the price rocketed off for months on end. Same thing that happened here, price rocketed off. Same thing that happened, oh no, I went down. And this is the point I want to make again. I know we talked about the Bollinger Bands last week. They are not an indicator of which direction the price is going to go. I think that's a really important thing to point out. I wish they were, but they're not. but they are a very strong indicator that we're going to have volatility soon. So we are seeing the Bollinger Bands drop down in terms of the width back to levels that we have not seen since October 2020. That's where we're getting. So you understand that we can still go lower. We can still have days of sideways ranging action for the price. But there's going to come a moment in the not so distant future when we have some very big volatility coming in. These drawdowns in market volatility with the Bollinger Bands, when we're looking at the Bollinger Band width, these drawdowns in volatility, they don't tend to just kind of end and, things just kind of move along. They tend to usually move quite dramatically. You can see every time we break out from these low ranges in terms of having very, very low bandwidth between the bands, we tend to have big violent moves afterwards. Big violent move, big violent move, big violent move, huge violent move, huge move, huge moves. So that means we are getting ready for some price volatility to come in here pretty gosh darn soon. Just look, this has been so crazy. Look at this, just ranging sideways, man. Totally crazy what we're seeing right now for Bitcoin. So I think we're going to see some pretty big moves coming here soon for Bitcoin. But as I said last week when we were talking about this exact indicator, who knows when? Who knows when? Again, the Bollinger Bands don't tell us this. They don't tell us what direction, whether it's going to go up or down. They don't tell us when it's likely to happen. But we do have a nice little ascending triangle forming up here on the daily. If that coincides with our end of the week unlocks for the grayscale shares, that could be very interesting. That could be very interesting. By the way, if you want to buy yourself some Bitcoin, maybe you want to buy some Ethereum, some Cardano, some Polkadot, some Polygon, some Chainlink, whatever your fancy might be, you need to get yourself an account over on Binance. You can buy and sell cryptocurrencies using more than 50 different fiat currencies. And if you use the link down below in the description to start your account, you're going to get 10% off of your trading fees and up to $700 in bonuses when trading futures over on Binance. Now here's some more fun statistics for you. So this is from Lex Moskovsky. He said that this is right now, there's a negative stock to flow deflection. It's actually the highest it's ever been in the whole history of Bitcoin. This is a great buying opportunity, of course, if you are a believer in the stock to flow model. So it's actually pretty impressive when you look at this. I mean, this is the biggest in history, the biggest stock to flow deflection in history. So as we can see, during the previous deflections, we can look back here to 2019. You can look back here to 2017, right? All these times were incredible buying opportunities. That is, of course, as he mentions, if you believe in the validity of the stock to flow model. So let's take that with a grain of salt, obviously, but certainly some interesting food for thought for you. Also, the Bitcoin miners have stopped selling. They're actually now accumulating more Bitcoin. So this red sell-off here by Bitcoin miners basically represents an entire month of China FUD. That right there, that's China FUD. That's miners selling their Bitcoin and either closing up shop because they can't afford to move overseas, or selling Bitcoin for cash to fund their moves to Texas, to Kazakhstan, to wherever else they might be going. There's lots of people kicking their doors open and saying, hey, Bitcoin miners, you're welcome over here. Come on down. Now, another wild card factor for volatility this week, of course, is the grayscale Bitcoin shares unlock. As you can see on this chart here, these blue bars represent unlock days and how much Bitcoin is going to be unlocked on those days. Now, I have to be very, very clear here because there's so much misunderstanding around the Grayscale shares, which is why I want to keep talking about this so that you have the facts and you know what's going on. But the Grayscale share unlocks, this is not Bitcoin hitting the spot markets. 6 months ago, institutional investors bought Bitcoin, or took Bitcoin they already had, locked it up with Grayscale. In exchange, Grayscale gives them GBTC. That's a stock product. Those products basically allow them to bring those out on the market. Retail investors can buy them, or you have funds like ARK, which buy a lot of them to invest in Bitcoin. It's one of the ways that they, as a company who do ETFs and stuff like this, can actually invest in Bitcoin, because they can't just buy a big stack of Bitcoin and say, hey, we got Bitcoin. They actually need to have the stock products like GBTC. So just understand, this is not spot Bitcoin going onto the markets. These are shares of a stock product getting unlocked. That doesn't also mean that all of these GBTC investors are going to sell them. In fact, it's important to understand who is actually getting their shares over the next few weeks. Well, one of them is actually ARK. Now, ARK, very important to point out, they are one of the really big investors in GBTC itself. So those shares that they get, they're not going to go out and dump them on the market. They're going to add them into their funds. So that's really important to point out there. Now, we do also have some other big funds who are also getting some Bitcoin given over to them. So we can see like Horizon Kinetics, for example, they're getting a big pile. BlockFi, one of the biggest recipients coming up here for that lockup as well, for the unlock. So we are going to see that Bitcoin coming to the markets, but you just have to understand. I think what happens here is we do see a lot of FUD, a lot of misinformation being spread around, but we do have these unlocks. And as I covered last week in a video, historically, for whatever reason, because this shouldn't be this way, but it is this way, when we have these big unlocks, we also have very high correlation with almost every major unlock or unlock period coinciding with a downturn in the price for Bitcoin. That's not saying that's going to happen this time. Very well may, though, so I want you to be prepared for that. As I mentioned previously, if all of this Grayscale Bitcoin Trust unlock stuff causes enough panic in the market, then people freak out because of misinformation, or the market shorters, all these big institutional funds who are shorting the market get this pushed across successfully as a narrative in order to short the market and the prices go back down. I'm a buyer. I'm buying Bitcoin in that situation. I'm not selling my Bitcoin to JP Morgan and to Goldman Sachs if they FUD the market and push it down again. Not interested, personally. If we stave off the FUD, remember, we are getting ready for volatility. We have this big event coming this week. Seems to coincide pretty well. We have a massive drawdown for the Bollinger Band width. We have the Grayscale unlock coming. We have the ascending triangle coming for later this week. A lot of stuff adding up here. So we could see positive market momentum coming through here as well, because remember, it matters who's getting the Bitcoin as well. We do have a big tranche of it going to ARK. We'll see, what the other players do, obviously, with their GBT shares when they do get them. But this is something just to keep in mind, that we do have this event happening, and that whether up or down, I would expect some volatility to come in around this particular event. So it is significant enough, I think, that people are going to be paying attention to it. Again, I would like to say I don't think it's warranted that people pay so much attention to it, because it's not spot Bitcoin getting dumped on Coinbase. It's shares getting unlocked that go over to the stock markets. But you try and explain that to people and they still freak out and panic and, oh my gosh, I'm going to sell my Bitcoin now because JP Morgan said it's going to go down to nothing. Is what it is, guys. Now, some good news. Good news just to finish it up here for today. This is Carlitos Rehela. He said that him, along with another senator, they're going to be introducing a Bitcoin bill this Wednesday into the parliament in Paraguay. So that's very exciting. Now, he hasn't told us what's in the bill. Come on, man, what's in the bill? I want to know. I don't know if they're going to be going down the legal tender route like they did in El Salvador. That'd be really great if they did. I'd be excited to see that. But more likely, this is just going to be a bill that gives Bitcoin more of a legal status, not necessarily saying it's legal tender, but maybe it can be accepted for payments within the country. Maybe they're going to introduce some new tax laws. Who knows? We have to wait and actually see the bill when it comes out. Obviously, I will cover that later this week when it does happen, but this is a bullish thing, so I'm excited to see this. Obviously, it then needs to get passed. Just introducing a bill is not getting a bill passed into law. Those are two very, very different things, but step in the right direction anyway. And just a final thought for today. I posted this over on Twitter. People say that holding Bitcoin's dangerous because it's so volatile, right? Hey, I know if you bought Bitcoin at $65,000 2 months ago, you're looking at Bitcoin now, you're going, man, this is just pain. Just pain. Here's a chart of the Argentine peso versus the US dollar. It's down 82% approximately since Bitcoin's last market top. So I took this just as a point of reference from when Bitcoin made its previous all-time high until now. The peso's down 80%. It's basically in a perpetual death plummet, like all fiat currencies. Like all fiat currencies. In fact, I would challenge you to go and open up a chart for any fiat currency and backdate it. Just go back. I know your $1 holds a $1 value because that's what it says on the piece of paper, but the reality is that $1 today does not buy what a dollar bought in 2000. But it doesn't buy what it bought in 2020 either. But it's more dramatic if you look back to 2000. It doesn't buy what it bought in 1950 or in 1900 or in 1850. And if you look at the world's longest living fiat currencies, the British pound as an example, it's just a history of this. It just goes down, 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 down. The purchasing power of fiat currencies just continues to go down. So they may have a stable value number on the piece of paper, but that's not really worth anything. And you see so many people all over the world. There's a lot of currencies charts that right now look exactly like this. It's not just Argentina, right? It's a lot of other countries too. Lebanon, Turkey, on and on and on, right? Lots of countries have been struggling. Now, the Argentine peso is down 80%, and even though Bitcoin, yes, is down 50% from its recent all-time highs, I took it from its previous all-time high back in 2017 because Bitcoin is still up about 75% over that previous all-time high. So if you were an Argentinian and you had taken your pesos at the previous all-time high for Bitcoin, put whatever amount of pesos, half your life savings into Bitcoin at that time, instead of keeping it in pesos under your bed, you would have avoided an 80% downturn in the peso, and you would still be up 75% on your Bitcoin. I'm telling you, lots of charts that look like this, a lot of fiat currency charts that look like this, and just because you're in the euro or you're in the dollar, and those are safer fiat currencies, they all end up the same, just a matter of time. And if you look at the charts for Bitcoin, it basically just goes up over time. Oh, sure, there's big dramatic downturns. Obviously, we're in price discovery for a completely new asset class. You better be prepared for volatility because that's the price that you pay for performance. Anyway, just my 2 Soshis for the day. Your question. Do you think that these coming grayscale unlocks are going to cause market volatility? Or maybe it's going to be a big fat nothing burger. Or maybe we're going to get market volatility anyway, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the grayscale unlocks. It's just going to happen because that's what's in the charts, man. Let me know down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and peace out till next time.